All right, buckle up because we're diving into a book that throws the typical business planning stuff right out the window.
Out the window, huh?
Yeah, totally different. We're talking Choose Your Enemies Wisely
Okay, I like it already.
by Patrick Bet-David. And this book, let me tell you, it really caught my eye. It's not about like spreadsheets and market analysis.
The usual suspects?
It's about harnessing, get this, emotion
Emotion, okay.
to build a business plan that actually truly gets you results.
Interesting, because Bet-David, he's all about that. He really argues that most business plans, they just totally flop because they lack that heart, that gut-level drive you need to push through when things get tough, you know?
So true. And let's be real. I mean, who hasn't completely abandoned a plan because it just didn't, like, resonate on a deeper level?
It's so common.
I've been there.
Yeah, it's human nature. We need that deeper connection. But what's so fascinating about this book is how Bet-David, he uses his own experience, right? Building this whole financial empire to show us a different way. He's all about tapping into those powerful emotions.
Okay.
Even the negative ones.
Yeah.
And turning them into, like, fuel.
So that's where this whole choosing your enemy thing comes in, right?
Exactly, yeah.
But it's not about, like, revenge or anything like that.
No.
It's about strategically identifying what motivates you. Like, is it a rival, a doubter, maybe even a past failure that just, like, lights a fire under you?
It's like, think about it. We usually try to just ignore those negative emotions, right?
Yeah.
Or just brush them under the rug.
Yeah.
Bet-David's like, nope, flip the script. He's saying, what if we could harness all that energy and, like, redirect it toward our goals instead?
I like that. So there's this great story in the book. He's at a Christmas party with his dad.
Okay.
And some guy right in front of everyone starts disrespecting his father.
Oh, no.
And it would have been easy to just walk away, but
Yeah, but he doesn't.
he uses that.
He totally does. That encounter, it became a turning point for him. He channeled all that anger, that feeling of injustice, into this intense drive to succeed.
Wow.
It's like taking those raw emotions and saying, I'll show you, I'll prove you wrong.
You know, it really makes you think about those moments in your own life, right? Where something happens, maybe it wasn't even fair, but it fired you up.
Definitely.
What if, instead of just simmering, we could use those moments to fuel positive change?
That's the crux of it. It's not about dwelling in negativity. It's about using it, right? Like a springboard to something better.
But there's a balance, right?
Well, for sure. The book emphasizes this. It's not about getting consumed by anger or negativity.
Right.
It's about harnessing those emotions strategically.
Okay, so that brings us to his 12 building blocks. It's tempting to think of this as like a fill-in-the-blanks business plan.
Right, but it's so much more than that.
It is, right.
It's about prompting the right kind of introspection. Like you're connecting those raw emotions we talked about to concrete actions.
Okay.
Each block, it pairs an emotional element with a logical one, you see.
Okay.
So instead of just listing out your goals, you're digging deep, figuring out the why behind them.
I like that. And that first block, enemy and competition, man, that one really got me. It's not as straightforward as it sounds.
No, not at all. It goes way beyond just knowing who your competitors are, you know?
Right.
It's about pinpointing those inner roadblocks,
Like what?
those limiting beliefs, even just personal habits,
Okay.
the things that hold us back. You know, are we sometimes our own worst enemy? This forces you to confront that.
It's true. And sometimes those enemies are external, but not in the way we think. Like, he uses Tom Brady as an example.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, it's not like he had this personal vendetta against every team he played.
Right.
But Bet-David's point is that he was always looking for new challenges to push himself further.
I see. So it's more about constantly raising the bar.
Exactly. Like being doubted because of his age, being underestimated in the draft, those all became fuel for him.
He turned that doubt into motivation. Wow.
Yeah, he didn't just want to win. He wanted to prove everyone wrong. That's next level, right?
It's intense.
But it's not always about rivalry. The book also gets into indirect competitors, which I thought was really fascinating.
Indirect competitors. What's that about?
So we're talking about the things that could like sneak up on you and disrupt your whole business.
Okay, like what? Give me an example.
So it could be a shift in technology that you didn't see coming, or maybe consumer behavior changes, or even a global pandemic.
Okay, yeah, that's a curveball. Nobody saw that one coming.
Right. It makes you think about like staying agile and being ready to adapt no matter what.
For sure.
All right, so moving on, there's this section, will and skill, and it challenges something I think a lot of us believe. We often think of willpower as something you're born with.
You either have it or you don't.
Yeah, like it's a personality trait.
I see.
But Bet David's saying, no, it can be developed.
Developed.
Okay.
Like a muscle. He tells this story about his son, who said he wants to be the greatest fighter in the world.
Oh, that's cute.
And Bet David immediately stopped him and said, "You mean you will be the greatest."
Oh, interesting. He changed the language.
It seems subtle, but it shows the difference between just wishing for something.
And actually being determined to make it happen.
Exactly. But of course, it's not enough to just will something.
You need the skills to back it up.
That's where the skill part comes in. So this block makes you ask yourself, what am I actually passionate enough about that I'll put in the effort to develop those skills?
Ooh, that's a good question.
It is, right. And speaking of passion, that takes us perfectly to the next building block. Mission and plan. This is where things get really interesting. Mission and plan. You know, a lot of businesses, especially the passion-driven ones,
Yeah,
they stumble here.
they really do. It's so easy to get caught up in the thrill of an idea, but without that clear mission, that guiding star, that purpose, yeah.
Huh.
You're basically setting sail without a compass.
Exactly. And, you know, Bet David, he's big on this. He says a mission statement, it's not just some empty corporate buzzword.
Right.
He uses examples like Patagonia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their mission is way bigger than just hawking outdoor gear.
Totally.
They're all about environmental activism.
Fair.
They're out there doing it.
They are. And Ted, right, spreading ideas, that's their mission.
And you can see it in everything they do.
Yeah, their conferences, their whole online platform. Or take Tesla. It's not just about building these sleek electric cars.
Right.
It's about changing the world, right? Transitioning to sustainable energy.
See, those mission statements, they're not just vague hopes and dreams.
Yeah,
They're clear, they're concise, and get this, they drive action.
they really do. And Bet David has this super simple exercise. It's almost deceptively simple for actually crafting your mission statement.
Oh, I like these simple but powerful exercises. Tell me more.
It's called the replace just with because exercise.
Okay.
And it's about, how we downplay our goals sometimes.
Like, oh, we just want to make some money.
Yeah, we just want to make a profit. But what if you switch out that just and you put in a because?
Oh, I see what he's doing.
It makes you think about the deeper purpose, right?
That you're forced to articulate it.
We want to make a profit because we're passionate about investing in sustainable farming.
Right. Suddenly, it's not just about the bottom line.
Exactly. It's tied to something bigger.
I like that.
It is. And that actually leads us to, this classic business tool that a lot of people get wrong, the SWOT analysis.
SWOT analysis, yeah. Sounds a little jargony, maybe.
Yeah, it does sound a bit like corporate buzzword bingo.
It does, it does. But it's about being real, right? About what you're good at, what you suck at, what's out there for you, what could go wrong.
Taking inventory, warts and all.
Exactly. Strengths, you use them. Weaknesses, you improve or delegate. Opportunities, you grab them. Threats, you get ahead of them.
You turn those potential disasters into, strategic moves.
You're playing chess, not checkers.
Love it. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about something a little more,
Dreams.
Yes, dreams. That's the next building block. Dreams and systems.
This part really spoke to me. Bet David talks about how when he was a kid, he dreamed of owning the New York Yankees.
The Yankees, huh? Bold.
I
Then
think-
he actually became a minority owner.
No way. See, proof those crazy dreams can happen.
They can. But it takes more than just daydreaming, right?
Right. You need a plan.
You need action. That's the systems part. Taking those huge, audacious goals and breaking them down into steps you can actually take.
Creating a roadmap to your dream. Because visualization's great.
Yeah,
But without action, it's just wishful thinking.
totally. It's like that saying, imagine if one day... But this is about actually building the path to get there.
Brick by brick. And that
Mhm.
path often needs, resources.
Capital.
Right. Which brings us to another crucial block. Vision and capital.
This is where so many entrepreneurs get stuck.
Oh, I know it.
Trying to secure funding, it can be really intimidating, especially if you're not just pitching numbers.
You're pitching a dream.
Yeah, you're pitching a whole vision.
And Bet David makes this fascinating link between the two. He says how well you secure capital really comes down to how well you present your vision.
It's the storytelling.
It's not just about spreadsheets and projections. It's about the story you tell.
That passion.
You have to make those investors feel something.
Absolutely. It's about connecting with them on a human level, right? Because at the end of the day, even with the perfect business plan.
You're the one selling it.
Yeah.
You're the face of your company. And your belief in your vision, that's what's going to get investors on board.
So how do we do that? How do we bottle that magic?
Bet David breaks it down into three things. Your elevator pitch,
Okay.
your pitch deck,
Mm-hmm.
and something people forget about, the narrative.
The story, the why behind it all.
Exactly. The elevator pitch, that's your hook, your chance to make a strong first impression. The pitch deck, that's the logic, the visuals. It backs up your plan.
Makes sense.
But the narrative is what ties it all together.
It's what makes people feel it.
It's you weaving your story, your passion, your why
Yeah.
into something that resonates.
You're building trust. You're showing your expertise.
And you're inspiring confidence. You're showing them you can execute that vision.
So it's about going beyond just the data and making that human connection.
Because investors, they're people too.
They are.
They want to be drawn in. They respond to passion, to authenticity.
To a good story.
Exactly. And that's something that goes way beyond just the boardroom, you know? Pitching investors, motivating your team, even just connecting with your customers.
It's all storytelling.
Being a good storyteller is invaluable.
You know, it makes me think about how in life we tend to compartmentalize things.
Yeah. Work over here, personal life over there.
But this book, it really highlights how interconnected everything is. You can't build a successful business, not really, without bringing your whole self to it.
The good, the bad.
All of it. Vulnerabilities included.
And that's something we'll dig into more as we unpack the rest of the building blocks. But for now,
Yeah, bringing that real you to the table.
absolutely. And that's what makes the rest of these 12 building blocks so powerful. Bet David doesn't shy away from the tough stuff, you know,
The messy parts of building something,
the self-doubt, the setbacks, all of it.
he actually embraces it.
He does. He says confronting that stuff head on, that's how you build a plan with some grit.
I like that. Instead of just being strategically sound, it's emotionally resilient too.
Exactly. It's about acknowledging, hey, I don't have all the answers.
But you're willing to learn.
You're in it to figure it out. You're adaptable.
And a big part of that is having the right team, right?
Huge.
He talks about sharing your vision, but in a way that empowers people.
Yes. Not dictating from on high.
Right. It's about bringing your team along on the journey with you.
Help them understand the why, not just the what.
Let them use their own skills and passions,
You want a culture of ownership,
where everybody feels invested in the outcome, not just going through the motions.
because when you've got that kind of team aligned and passionate, that's when the magic happens.
Absolutely. And you know, it brings us right back to the heart of this whole book, choosing your enemy wisely.
That phrase, it's been rattling around in my head too. It's so simple, but it really changes how we usually look at obstacles.
It does. We're conditioned to avoid discomfort, right? To play it safe.
Stay in our lane, stay comfortable.
But Bet David, he's like, lean into that discomfort. See those obstacles as fuel.
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
What if those enemies, the doubts, the setbacks, the naysayers, what if those are the things that push us to our greatest achievements?
I love that. What if by really figuring out what we don't want, it actually unlocks the drive to get what we truly desire?
It's all about perspective. It's not about seeking out negativity for fun. It's about recognizing that even when things are hard, there's a chance to grow, to learn to prove to ourselves what we're made of.
So as we wrap up, I think the question for everyone listening is this. What's your enemy?
Ooh, good one.
And I don't mean like a person necessarily, but what's that thing holding you back? That voice of self-doubt, that fear of failure?
The dream you haven't chased.
Yes. Find it. Acknowledge it. And then ask yourself, how can I use this? How can I turn this obstacle into a stepping stone?
Because sometimes the biggest growth comes from embracing the tough stuff, from getting a little uncomfortable, from choosing our enemies wisely.
And using them to fuel the journey.
You might just shock yourself with what you can achieve.
We want to hear from you. What really hit home for you today?
What are you going to put into action?
Head over to our social media. Let's keep this conversation going. Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep choosing those enemies wisely.